Hello everyone, Prime here, and I hope you've had a great day, because today we're going to be going over God of War, the universe, the lore behind it, and everything that you might need to know before the next God of War game, God of War 4, comes out. In the beginning, it was pretty dark. The darkness was called Chaos, and for some reason, light ruined everything and made life. The primordial goddess Nyx, the night, met with this chaos and hit things off. The world was born, and with it the island of creation. Watched over by the Sisters of Fate, who also lived on the island, these children of Nyx decided the fates of every mortal, god and titan, crafted the threads of fate which began life on Earth. The threads of fate acted as the tale of a person, their life, their story on Earth. People, gods, and even titans have this thread controlled by the Sisters, which is why you wouldn't bother telling Clotho that she was very fat. On this island, a rocky golem-like creature was created as its Gaia, the first titan. Later, she was joined by Uranos. They did the business, and eventually the Titans popped out, giants with the powers of gods. Titans were eventually forced off the island because the Sisters became far too powerful for them. The Titans left the island, and they started building the rest of the Earth, and it became a little crowded, pushing the island of creation toward the edge of the planet. Really? The Titans feared the Sisters' ability to know the future of every living being, but their departure from that island marked the beginning of the Golden Age. Before leaving, the Sisters told Kronos that he would be usurped by his own child. This terrified Kronos and resorted to bribing the Sisters with the steeds of time. These horses were strong enough to move the island of creation away from the edge of the earth. Kronos hoped that this would change his fate as it saved the island and the Sisters' home. It didn't. Kronos was really worried now, but as the ruler of the Titans, he realized that he could just dispose of his children with no one batting an eye. So he ate them. 5 to be exact. Rhea, his wife, was fine with this as far as he could tell. He didn't even notice the fact that one of them may have been a 6th child that was not exactly a child but a rock, but he swallowed it all the same. And to be fair, this rock was clothed in the clothing of all the other children that he was fed to, so Kronos was none the wiser. This child was taken away by an eagle and raised by Gaia in order to save his siblings and crush Kronos. Zeus received many gifts during his growth, like the strength to challenge Kronos, but also a deep hatred for him as well. After freeing his brothers and sisters, Zeus began the Great War between the gods and the Titans. These Olympians and their elders ravaged the earth with their battle, rending mountains and shaking the earth itself. Once Kronos had been defeated by the brothers of Zeus, he used his newly made Blade of Olympus, said to slay gods and Titans alike, to seal the Titans away in the pit of Tartarus. This conflict warped the earth, and to stop the evils that challenged the very existence of Olympus, Hephaestus was ordered to make Pandora's box to contain the evils. As a safety measure, in case someone opened the box for some reason, Athena hid hope inside of it. Zeus wondered where he might put this box, and Hephaestus saw no better place than on top of Kronos' back. A giant temple was created to store the box, and then chained to Titan's back, where he would tread across the desert the lost souls alone. Zeus was known to have many affairs across even the original Greek mythology with many different women, but his relations with Callisto were to be kept secret. Hera always seemed to know, though, and was disappointed yet again with Zeus, predicting that Callisto's child will spell the end of everything. Callisto bore 2 boys, Kratos and Deimos, and whilst Hera wanted them both dead, Zeus pitied them, sparing their lives. An oracle soon changed that, though, with the information that the king was to be challenged by a marked warrior who would end his rule. The younger of the 2 boys bore this mark, and Ares and Athena were dispatched to put an end to the boy and send him to Thanatos. During the abduction, Kratos defies Ares, who gives him a scar for his troubles, and almost kills Kratos, but he was convinced not to because Athena decided to ask him not to, and they travel along to Thanatos. Kratos was a very skilled warrior in the Spartan army, but was always driven by this emotional past. He had a child with a Spartan woman, and this child contracted a certain disease. By order of Spartan law, she was cast into a chasm and left to die. Kratos understandably set off on a quest for Ambrosia after hearing that it might return his daughter to him. To get it, he had to defeat the other champions named by other gods. Kratos was named Ares champion because of the little display that he showed off during Deimos' capturing. With his army, he crushed Poseidon's champion, who sent a torrent of water as a bit of revenge, but it failed to kill Kratos or severely cripple his army. Artemis' champion was next, but hers also fell, but unlike Poseidon, she didn't seek revenge. Finally, there was Hades' challenge, and Hades was a little wary. He sent a firestorm, or a bit of fire, to try and quell Kratos' armies, and whilst it did take out a few men, it wasn't significant enough to stop Kratos from defeating Ulrich, the barbarian king who Hades named his champion. Ulrich wanted to save his father, but of course still lost Kratos' army, but Kratos did of course lose his own army as well. Helios also had a champion, and just after Kratos had found the ambrosia and claimed it as a reward, his champion also had to be defeated by Kratos. He returned victorious to Sparta, he saved his daughter, and he received the rank of captain from the Spartan king. This more or less is where the events of the games begin, and after this point, Kratos has killed several gods. He's ruptured the earth by destroying things such as the Chain of Balance, which is a chain that establishes a balance between the underworld and Mount Olympus. Both realms rely on this chain to keep things steady. Losing the chain is not good for either. And he pretty much messed up the world, though it wasn't entirely his fault. See, when he was killing all of these gods, some of them, like Poseidon, had serious consequences on the actual Earth itself. Others, as I said, he was just destroying things that needn't be destroyed. And everything that held the Earth together, he pretty much made crumble, until it was left this desolate, dying, chaotic land. And that's pretty much where the last God of War game has left us off. Which also means that's where we're going to leave the video. And you should be all ready for God of War coming out in April. Okay, I'm not going to actually end the video here. We're going to go over Norse mythology now, because that is what the new games are based around, and we've covered the Greek-inspired old games backstory. In the beginning, there was nothing. No oceans, no heaven, no earth. The frozen Niflheim was formed somehow. Muspelheim was a blazing plot of fiery land, and it was home to the fire giants. Surt was their leader, and he wielded a flaming sword. This place existed in the south. To the north there was a bottomless pit, an abyss known only as the Ginnunga Gap. It is said that when Ragnarok is concluded, everything that would exist would descend into this great darkness. The rivers that reached the Ginnunga Gap were frozen solid, unable to move, and coated in ice, of course. Eventually, the heat from Muspelheim reached the cold iciness of the Ginnunga Gap, and the ice was melted. This resulted in droplets taking shape, and they thickened fairly quickly. These thickened droplets became the father of all frost giants, Ymir. But eventually, Ymir turns evil, and he's hunted down by the Allfather, Odin. Odin fashions Ymir into one of the 9 realms, Midgard. The other 9 realms are Niflheim, land of fire, Muspelheim, land of mist, Asgard, land of the Aesir gods, Jotunheim, land of the giants, Helheim, land of the dishonored dead, Svartalfheim, land of the dwarves, Æthelheim, land of the elves, and Vanalheim, land of the Vanir gods. Asker and Embala were the first humans made from 2 trees that arrived on beach. Odin gave these 2 the breath of life and inspiration, as well as Midgard to have as their own. They, in turn, became the first 2 humans in existence and the parents of all human beings. Now, the Lost Pages little audio shorts give us a little insight into the motivations of Odin, the Allfather himself. When he actually goes down to take the knowledge from the seer, specifically he wants to know about Ragnarok and, of course, Kratos and his son. In Norse mythology, Odin tried his very best to try and prevent Ragnarok, or at the very least survive Ragnarok with his godly brethren. Doesn't work out. He ends up, well, failing, essentially. But the things that he does, and the extremes and lengths that he goes to try and prevent Ragnarok, he hangs himself from a tree, for one thing, for 9 days without food or water. Just to give you a bit of an example of just how dedicated he was to seeing this through and actually not having Ragnarok show up. And Odin's pursuit in Norse mythology was a pursuit of knowledge. He wanted to find out everything he possibly could. That was part of the reason why he even hung himself for so long from the tree Yggdrasil. As for Tyr, he was the god of justice, in Norse mythology, and what better way to maintain justice than to have an ability to connect yourself to all of the different 9 realms so you can more easily maintain things, keep order and peace by being able to travel there yourself. In Norse mythology, the gods were pretty much peacekeepers, among other things, so it makes sense that they'd want the ability to be able to swiftly travel between the 9 realms. In one of the audio shorts, the gods might have lost that ability or just don't possess that ability, according to the shorts. Whether they'll actually have that in the game, be interesting to see, according to Norse mythology. Okay, this is the actual end, but tell me what you think about the lore of the God of War universe. Do you like how it's done? Do you like what they take from these different mythologies? How do you think the lore of the Norse mythology within God of War will shape out to be? It'd be interesting to talk to you about that in the comment section. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like. Then I recommend you check out another video, maybe the one I did on Tiamat, the Mesopotamian dragon goddess. Of course, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Plenty more content just like this coming on the way. With that said, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a very good day. I have been Prime, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.